Yeah, exactly. Well done. Even Toby can't even, like, contest the obvious.
Awesome. I also apologize to people who are watching the recording. I forgot to start it on time with everything else that was going wrong. So yeah, our local recording, which will get uploaded later on to Dailymotion, will be available, but it starts from now. So greetings to everyone who is tuning into the recording. It's Liquid versus Sigma, battle for third place. Let's get this underway. So draft is already basically coming to a close for our first phase.
It is. We've got the Slark and Alchemist picked up by Team Liquid. Meanwhile, Sigma's side with a little bit more open, Crystal Maiden and the Chen. This is a very, very constant support duo right here. Both of them being able to jungle, you gain a huge advantage in that regard. And, of course, they're also good heroes to be able to rotate between lanes. Smoke gank up. Crystal Maiden leads with the slow, follows up with the frostbite. Chen gets in close with the centaur, troll creep, whatever he happens to have on hand. And it's very, very deadly. Especially since they're able to get that experience advantage. Oftentimes in the jungle, they usually pick up level 3 before they rotate around. So you have that Crystal Maiden with both of those abilities. Oftentimes outclassing other supports.
It almost makes you want to see Liquid just go, or makes you not want to see them actually go, let's go hard carry Alchemist, first level up into Greevil's Creed, and we make this a money battle. Like, Sigma pull a lot of experience and money out of the jungle, and Alchemist's like, well, I can pull it out of my certain place where sun doth not shine with Greevil's Creed. He just go nuts on that one, and Slark can start killing people off across the map. Like he's really become one of the most popular heroes in the last just 2 or 3 days. Slark's really come into popularity. Obviously being added back into the captain's mode, people are realizing, wait, I can just knock off any stun that's out there. I can run around invis at the speed of light and regenerate while I do so, moving in between lanes. He's just the perfect hero for that mid-game or even just early-game pressure. Once he cracks level 6, he just is so fast in between the lanes. He's always a presence on the map.
Yeah, we've been seeing him a lot in G League lately, oftentimes being run as off-laner, which is interesting enough. This is not the way that Team Liquid should be running him. They often, I mean, they used to run Slark before the buff, right? And they ran it more as a carry role. But I don't know, maybe Team Liquid are kind of rethinking their ideas about Slark with the recent buff, and maybe they may consider putting him off lane.
Is that in the last few days that Slark got pushed to the off lane?
Yeah, it's basically it's the same sort of sacrificial lamb that they kind of do with an Elder Titan. Slark at least has an escape mechanism. The first game that I casted with him, he was going up against the Rubik, Priestess of the Moon, and something like a Visage probably was the other support. But it was mainly the Rubik, Priestess of the Moon, where Slark at level 1 with only leap, he can't do anything. He gets his telekinesis. As long as the arrow hits, he's done for. But it was sort of this sacrificial lamb. He still was able to do a decent job in the mid to late game just because he is so powerful. You get a lot of map awareness off of that ultimate. I think it's kind of like the same way that teams are considering Elder Titan, where, yes, you throw him in the off lane, he's all right. He's getting worse over time as he gets those nerfs to his spirit form. But he's still decent on the off lane. He probably is going to die a couple times, but it gives you a lot of mid-game and late-game control. So I think that's the way that teams are kind of looking at him, or at least on the Eastern scene. And in lanes that don't have really solid stuns, he's actually a pretty decent offlaner. Because through Dark Pact, he's able to get many slows off, and of course his leap being able to successfully. So with the change in the creep equilibrium, I think it gives him a little bit more, makes him a little bit more viable as a offlaner.
I'm interested to see how well he's going to stand up to this though. Sigma going to go with the lineup I always enjoy. You always know your result by about like 15 minutes into this game when you go both Juggernaut, Pugna, as well as Chen. I'm one. Yeah, when you first came here, I think I was preaching it then. Actually, no, it was just before you came here, and I was sitting here with Melk, and I was like, Melk, games go too long these days. Everyone's going Hand of Midas. Nobody is going, wait, I can push. I'm like, best hero, Pugna. Grab a Pugna, grab a jungle hero like an Enchantress or a Chen, and just push. And then, you know, before the 20-minute mark, you can go high ground, and game was good, game was golden, and game is over. In 20 minutes, man. In 20 minutes. Mark my words. Mark my words. We can say 15 to 20 minutes in if this game should be won by Sigma or not. The only question will be is if Liquid can keep them out of their base. Because if Liquid can do that, then the whole situation doesn't really work. But when you've got a Pugna throwing down nether wards, you can't instantly take a team fight.
10
And
seconds remaining.
Pugna doesn't have to go inside the base to bring down the tower. Because all he has to do is just keep that nether blast going. You need to have arcane boots, maybe 2 sets, can go between the Chen as well as the Pugna.
Radiant
Maybe a
team
Crystal
back.
Maiden could do that kind of thing as well. Like you get a Mirana pickup, Liquid. I get a funny feeling they're going to take the approach of, as a spray, we'll be able to hold them out of the base slightly, but we're not going to wait for them to come high ground because that won't work. They need to go out and attack, which means arrows, it means
10
concoction,
seconds
it means Slark leaping out and trying to grab himself on a leash. It means all these different kind of
5
things coming
seconds
their way.
remaining.
And they've got to go out and be aggressive. It's the only way to stop a real committed
Reserve
Pugna
time.
push coming out from Sigma.
I mean, the Team Liquid definitely have a lineup that can fight. And the one small saving grace here, if it wasn't for the fact that Pugna can decrepify both himself and allies to be able to dodge that stun, I would be really, really concerned for Sigma because Alchemist, the way we've been seeing Alchemist run lately with the whole mid, max out acid spray, and unstable concoction, get a medallion, it's actually a
Team
really large
Liquid's
amount of burst
turn to
damage.
ban.
So if you lead with that stun, first of all, you're talking about a good 400, 450 damage. Just from that. Just from a not even necessary like a half a second left on unstable concoction, but just like a good 2-second unstable concoction
10
will get
seconds
you a
remaining.
good 450 to 500 damage. Follow up with the arrow, instantly
5
one hero is
seconds
dead.
remaining.
Squishy heroes may even just die to the Alchemist. We've seen how powerful that could be. You've got the long-range Visage
Reserve
nuke.
time.
Arrow from Mirana. You've got a lot of long-range
Radiant
initiation
team
that doesn't necessarily require commitment, and that's a lot of times concerns for going up against push lineups because these push lineups, one, they need their full 5, they start setting up, but all of a sudden an Alchemist just throws his unstable concoction from so far away that he's not in danger, and they just follow up with the rest of that combo without really committing anything, being able to test and probe that pushing lineup before they get uphill. By being able to see if they can pick off those heroes. They do have the Decrepify,
10
and that's good, but
seconds
there's definitely a
remaining.
lot of combo here with Team
Team
Liquid, a lot of
Liquid's
single
turn
target
to
damage
pick.
that could take out Sigma before they get uphill.
Yeah, that's true, man. But at the same time, if Liquid come out now, they're going to have to worry about a Ravage to go into, not to mention the Nether Ward. And then you got Hand of God, which will be up their sleeve. Should be up their sleeve by the time they start pushing it all the way. But Tidehunter, a rough hero to kill off on the lane. Also a rough hero for Slark to battle up against. That's possibly the only hero I think that would be
10
favorable up
seconds
against a
remaining.
Slark. He wants to Essence Shift, and it's like, oh, wait, Anchor Smash, gonna
5
come out.
seconds
Then Slark will
remaining.
deal with negative armor, and they have to like trigger out his Dark Pact or something along those lines. And he can really get caught out. And Rubik will be the last pick up here from Team Liquid. So they got a lot of good abilities to steal from the Rubik. That mainly he'll be the man in charge of controlling, and maybe just catching that one person out and keeping them out of position.
I just can't get over the difference of casting all of these G League games and seeing the same heroes pretty much constantly being picked up. And Rubik, the Rubik Visage, like I was talking about it, it's either CM Chen or Rubik Visage are your two main support combos. And every single time, if they pick up Crystal Main, Chen is banned out. If they pick up Visage, the Rubik's banned out. Like they always make sure that those heroes don't go down. And I've just got a completely different drafting pool to be able to acknowledge now, which is fun. I like being able to switch things up like this. Sigma definitely
10
with that
seconds
Tidehunter, it gives them
remaining.
some interesting picks. Being able to
5
get that early
seconds
Blink
remaining.
Dagger is going to be a big part of initiating on Team Liquid. Again, that poking, prodding damage of seeing if they can pick off heroes on Team Liquid. If they just get a fully committed fight from Sigma, the Blink in, the Ravage. AoE is also really, really good versus Slark because of his ultimate. So things like Ravage and Pugna, his Blast, those two things are going to be really, really key for keeping Slark out.
Yep. Got a quick moment for Mad. He's always delaying things, bucking Mad. He's actually normally the man that complains about everything. Also, while we just have ourselves a moment, as well, it seems like they're good to go, but someone else is not. Bulba is not great to go just yet. Coming up later on this week, I don't know the time when the match will be played or the day it will be played, but I've been told it will be played out this week. This week we will be having the grand final. This will be Speed Gaming They'll be playing from China up against Team Alliance. All these matches are best of 5s, as you can see the pins up on the very, very top of your screen right now. There are 3 slots on either side, obviously, first to 3 wins, and that's the way the best of 5s are played. So we'll be having our grand final later on this week, Alliance going up against Speed Gaming. So make sure you keep your eyes peeled over on d2cl.org for all the information, as it is the English website for this event. And yeah, share it out in your Facebooks and your Twitters. I know a lot of people have some rough times finding the live streams over here on Daily Motion. So yeah, let people know what's going on, that this match is in fact underway. I know we've had a couple of stall-ups and breaks with all the different LAN events happening over the November-December period. But we are here for our 3rd place deciding matchup right now, with $7,000 going to first prize, as well as the $3,000 going in there for the 4th prize, which is why we have our 3rd place battle off. And Fader is already going to see the entire Liquid lineup. Everyone's moving into the jungle. It looks like we're going to have a contest. It looks like we might even have our first fight. Miguel, Fader, he's in the corner. He's got blast. He can catch out everybody right now. So Juggernaut's going to come. He's going to look for the spear. Miguel going to gush up on Way Too Sexy. They're trying to force Liquid to turn and try and fight in this very small area. Way Too Sexy is dead. He was just a little bit too slow going out with the rest of his team. The gush slows him down. Negative armor. And then with the blast, as well as the spin from the Juggernaut, it's just an easy first blood coming the way of Sigma.
Yeah, I mean, grouping up like that in that corridor is never going to go well versus a Juggernaut. I mean, they even had the Chen. Like, Chen is a hero that at level 1 doesn't really do anything. And Liquid had decent Team 1 fight, but Juggernaut just proves to be too strong, especially in those tight little corridors like that. If they chose to fight, they would have just taken too much damage as a team. Juggernaut would have been hitting too many heroes, so they just have to sacrifice the Visage. Very, very poor planning in general. But they are going to be running the off-lane Slark, so this is fun to watch. Well,
it's going to be fun for that to watch, but I'm watching Fader in the middle lane. He's already got his bottle, because he's the guy that got the first blood. It means that bottle rush into mid was done before the first creep wave even spawned up. So Fader's going to have himself a great time here in the mid. And Bulba, he's going to have a really rough time. Like, he wants to try and spray out against Fader, but you're seeing what Fader's doing. Like, the acid spray was on basically that side of the line. And while that happens, whoops, probably check out top lane. Miguel's going to die up here. So there's already a quick revenge kill onto the off-laner. Now, when was the last time you saw a successful off-lane tide? Hannah Montana's era?
Yeah, it's been a really, really long time. But, I mean, it does kind of work. We're looking at the era of big tanky offlaners who don't necessarily need an escape mechanism. So Tide fits that billet perfectly. It's just the problem is the tri-lane he's going up against, you can't afford not to have an escape mechanism. Against the Rubik, just the Rubik Mirana combo by itself is dangerous enough to pick off a lot of these offlaners.
You see Miguel changing his tact now. After spawning up, he's coming in to help out Mad. And they're going to try and rotate. Yeah, smoke rotation's already coming. They'll loop around and try and come in behind Bulba. And this is actually a kind of an interesting situation that Fate is allowed to happen. Decrepify's going to slow him down. Blast, and then the Gush, Saturn Blast, and the Chen Nuke. Now, that's a lot of damage to get through the Alchemist straight off.
Yeah, it's that new Decrepify. Being able to the 50% extra damage is just rather insane. I mean, you're talking about your level 2 nuke doing over 200 damage as a Pugna. It's just kind of crazy how much damage you can do early on. So.
And combined up with the slowest wall, because Ty would have never gotten in range, let alone that Saturn in range let off his blast too, and without having that 50% slow on top of that. What I was going to say is, like, it's hilarious to see what Fader did before that fight began. Like, I drew the line across here because Bulb was throwing acid spray in this region, so Fader would basically loop himself up to the high ground so he could attack Bulba directly without being caught up inside the acid spray. And then the one time Bulba pushed the creep wave down just after Tidehunter died, Fader was already back at his tier 1 tower and firing that one up. So his positioning had changed perfectly for just a straight up smoke gank. Like, it wasn't even for, like, the rotation. Like, that was what they wanted to do with that, but then they realized that Bulba was just so far up in the lane that they didn't even have to rotate. It was just a straight up Decrepify, into Gush, into Blast, off you go.
Yeah, and he's going to have even better time once he has that double damage rune. Alchemist is notoriously low armor. He may be a tanky hero, but he has no armor to speak of, so double damage is going to be pretty effective at being able to harass him out until he picks up level 6. But at the very least, it looks like Koiva,
he's going to be really careful when he does that. He's got to be lucky that there was no Frostbite in the Crystal Maiden. If Crystal Maiden was another level up right then, because he triggered off the Dark Pact and then started to run away, they could have held him there just long enough for the follow-up damage to come from the Juggernaut.
Yeah, possibly. Possibly. He's picked up that early set of boots, so he's doing pretty good in lane. We see this off lane is really working well. Since they don't have really hard stuns, Frostbite being their best stun is really not negligible, just because Koifa can still activate Dark Pact and leap away. So it's not really that useful. So this is a really good example of a Slark off lane that is going to do really, really well because of the lack of attention by supports. They just don't have enough lane presence.
Yeah, you're right, man. You're right. But this lineup isn't all about lane presence. This lineup's all about timing. You know, I was talking about like 2 arcane boots, one from Chen, and then the other one coming out from the Pugna. Well, I'm looking at Pugna right now, who's actually building into a bracer, so we're going to see drums instead up on him. But this push on bottom lane will come. And when it arrives, you get 2 points up in the healing ward, you'll have your Handed God behind you, Chen's up at level 3.5. They're already smoke moving. I don't know if they want to try and defend that top. The ping came out from the Tidehunter, and way too sexy. You're taking a little bit too much damage from that tower. But with the new creep wave on the way in, they're fully aware of who's coming in from behind.
Yeah, they are. A really good aggressive ward between the two towers. Should be able to get them a decent heads up.
Extra TP's in. Crystal Maiden already TP'd into the tier 2 tower, so she's on her way up as well. But with that stun, holding up the Pugna, there's no extra 50% slow. Miguel gonna be picked up and thrown back. Mad, there she decrepify. Whoop, fluff and stuff. On the run out of here, he's gonna pop the Fade Bolt, but he's already dead to the Pugna Blast. They'll lose the Centaur. Actually, even then, Fader denies it on the way back out again.
Thank God.
But that Netherward made life very difficult for Liquid to turn straight away.
Yeah, if they just kept running, they probably would have gotten in range of the tier 1 tower and they would have been fine. But unfortunately, Fluff and stuff trying to help out, his ally actually gets caught. Koifa is about to pick up level 6, and yeah, you actually already see Paris has been forced to pop large amount of his health. So this is where this offlane Slark is actually really coming into play now. He's actually going to be able to get decently aggressive on Paris, even through Omni Slash, because he's going to have Slark's going to be able to have his ultimate to be able to fall back on as well. So this is just kind of a no-win situation at this bottom lane. Thankfully, though, Sigma is pretty much dominating every other lane. With that recent rotation, they've done a decent job getting Tidehunter some good levels now, despite the fact that he hasn't been in
Faye's in trouble. There's a telekinesis pick up to throw him back down again. He did get a quick blast off. So the Concoction Sun's going to hold Faye there just long enough, especially with way too sexy rotating in. They have enough damage to pick off Fader. I thought for a moment he might get those 9-1 charges off and then just run himself away. But it just wasn't fast enough.
Yeah, Bulba holding on to that stun to last second. I almost thought he held on to it too long, but was thankfully. He was good. No heal came up from Pugna. Good rotations. Still, though, the gold lead and experience lead are both very even. Liquid's ahead in experience right now.
It's kind of crazy how far ahead they are. Like 1,500 experience when you're down on kills by 1. They're just pulling so much out. And then you got Chen in the jungle as well. Like that should give the advantage to Sigma. Right now, Pass is in trouble on the top lane. Miguel's going to rotate himself in. The arrow's already hit, but with Gush, Anchor Smash, Concoction on the way in, Fluff and stuff. He's 1 hit away. He's going to go down with Juggernaut. Soshka just jumping around inside of his ultimate. Picking up the 2 supports for the 1 support, and TC had to use his ulti to escape. But they thought he's going to wear off, and Fader rotating up. He kind of wants to find TC, but he's not going to find anybody. TC's moved up a little bit further north, and Bulbas have gone back in towards his mid.
Well, that's going to even out that experience lead from Liquid a little bit more, but mainly it was come back to the fact that just the Tidehunter is just completely forced out of that lane.
Oh, Bulba, he can't see up the hill.
Oh, God.
This is going to be Decrepify Blast with the Drain as well. He's toast. He's toast, so totally toast.
Oh, the arrow lands too, but
TC's just
not
too
in
far
position.
away.
Yeah. Yeah, it just really comes back to, keep talking about it, but the fact that Koifa was able to pick up levels where Tidehunter couldn't. He was farming up bottom and was able to pick up his level 7, so he's actually kind of deadly to some of these supports, so you may see him rotate out of his lane. In fact, he's going to group up with the other Smoke 2 supports and see if they can grab the Tidehunter or the Chen here.
Well, it's going to be a rough time. You see where Chen's farming up.
Yeah,
He's just in the tree line, and Koifa, he's going to leap in, and he got the latch in, which means now Chen can just turn, but no, can't even do that. So they get the kill on the Chen. I'm still thinking that right now, Liquid, they needed more than this. They needed so much more than this. You just saw a whole lot of arcane boots come up. So you've got 2 arcane boots, 1 for Fader and 1 in for Miguel as well. These guys are getting ready to push. This is that death timer that's really kicking in. Once Tide also triggers up level 6, it won't matter anymore about Liquid trying to go for these fights, because the Ravage is just going to destroy them every single time. And Sigma's going to force it. Like this top tier 1 tower, it's already at half of his life points. Fatal lets off a blast, tower's now at a quarter of his life points. This is the pushing power of Pugna. This is why I say in 20 minutes when you play a game with Pugna, you will know if you win or not.
Yeah, I mean, I recently had, I don't think Nahaz is joining us, is he?
He'll join us for the games later on.
Okay. Nahaz threw out a really good stat, which was Pugna's win rate before the 25-minute mark and afterwards, and there's a vast difference. Not just Pugna just being able to...
Bulba, wrong time. Real wrong time. He's going to have to stun up on bucking Mad, but with the dust popping off, there's nowhere to hide. Mad's going to get 5-second arrow TC. He's trying to get himself in range for the Starfall, but the Ravage is going to keep... Oh, the Starfall hit him just enough, but Juggernaut's only bounces around past... Oh, Paris cannot survive. So it goes 2-2 on the board. Fluff and stuff. He ends up stealing the Gush of all things, but he doesn't have enough mana to really trigger off anything. There will be a Decrepify Blast. Fader, that's not going to actually help to bring down these familiars who are then going to drop on him. But Fluff and stuff's able to escape himself out to safety.
Well, still, I mean, these exchanges are going the way of Sigma, slightly, but not overwhelmingly enough that they'll be able to really turn this into big pushes. We now see the denied tower at top. Koifa is still farming bottom. Bulba went back to middle to farm up. I mean, if Liquid hadn't run, if Bulba hadn't run headlong into all those heroes, I think they would have actually been in a decent position to be able to defend. That acid spray is just such a cruel thing to push up into. That minus armor just makes it so deadly. They can siege down towers very easily, but they can't fully commit necessarily to taking down those fast towers. They can just do the Pugna Blast every once in a while and back out of the acid spray, but for the most part, fighting within acid spray this early is a very bad idea.
Yeah, agreed. 100% agree.
Smoke up. Koifa and Bulba are going to go on an adventure together.
That adventure may not be a fun adventure. It could end in their peril, their doom. But they're going to try and have a crack in middle. But look at the pressure coming in. Fader's going to blast down this tower once. And then with the, look at even just the nether ward, just a little bit higher up. Trying to bait Liquid into fighting. He's doing it out of their vision. But now Bulba coming in. He's going to get the stun over on Fader. It hits all sorts of a Mad, but with the, with the Centaur as well as the Saturn making a bit more of a buffer, they're okay. But the top tower goes down to Mirana, so TC's having a really good time up here on the top lane.
That Decrepify was really key because I believe Koifa actually turned there. He may have committed to Pugna if that damage had actually hit Fader. Because he still had his ultimate to be able to fall back on.
Yep. Next concoction over on Miguel. Hand of Gold is going to be used, and Koifa's jumped himself in. Spin damage quite high. Miguel, he's still tanky, so tanky he's able to survive almost through all of that. So the tier 1 tower has gone down. The Familiars gets one last drop. Pugna's managed to pick up the Rubik in this fight. That Nether Blast continues to go. Bulba, another stun. This time over to Fader.
Oh,
arrow will connect this time around, but Soshka in the middle of the fight. He's got to spin up in 1 second time. He's looking for the kill on TC. He should be able to claim it as long as he can get some more space here. Now the spin goes attacking on both Way 2 as well as Koifa. Centaur with the stomp holding him back. The Sigma's losing a lot of life points to try and fight this, but Pugna buys back into the fight. But there's not really much more to gain from this unless they start pushing down more towers. Now he's going to grab the rune. He wants more gold. Probably more than anything else. He's looking for the very fast Aghanim Scepter.
Yep, we're going to see an early mech also up on Way 2. He's actually been able to pick up a large amount of gold. He's 4-2-4 right now, so he's been a part of a lot of these kills. He picked up a lot of last hits on heroes, and he already has a mech 12.5 minutes in, which saves some of these other heroes. They're going to have a much better team fight now because of this. I don't think... no, Matt's actually been able to pick up his own mech right now, so...
The only difference... Well, actually, there is no real difference in it. They've got almost identical items of these two heroes. It's just the Visage got a lot more of his money from kills. But you're already seeing, again, Sigma's rotation. The early mech's going to be great for Liquid to try and survive during these fights, but every time Sigma pushes, they're taking a tower with them. And now they want to try and push and take out this tier 1 tower in the bottom lane. So healing ward behind him. Just keep the blast going. There's no fortification this time around for Team Liquid. And Miguel's taking up a lot of that acid spray. But with the healing ward, The damage is just completely like taken off, and then that Nether Ward. That's a great position from Faye to throw that Nether Ward down. Now the Ravage will trigger. It hits on 3 heroes. The Ravage stolen though. It's gonna be returned by Flufferstuff right into the middle of him. When the Starfall down, the Meg Charge will go, and Sochka spinning himself around with the extra kill, extra damage coming out from Pugner's Ward. He ends Visage's dominating spree, so Pugner has got a hell of a lot of money. With the tower going down, he's 400 gold away from Aghanims. 13, 14 minutes in. And looks like Koiva wants to try and turn and fight this one. A leap in. He's going to trigger off his ultimate. He really wants to fight this one. The Nether Ward drops again. Sentry Wards as well. Pass gets hit pretty hard there by the arrow and drops almost instantly after. While the Rana ulti will trigger.
Really great play there by Koifa, leaping in and immediately backing out. He got the disable he needed for the rest of his team to follow up, and now he's going to do so again on Chen.
Ooh. With that Mirana ulti, he could easily walk himself over there, but the support's on the way. Hand of God, Meg Charge is still going to be there, and Sochka, boom, jumps around, goes inside the spin. He's going to now go into Flufferstuff, and
nice
Flufferstuff
deal.
stole the spin, returns and actually blocks the damage. Fader draining out the life points. He gets stunned up by TC's long-range arrow. Hand of God will not be enough to keep him alive. While Miguel still trying to fight in the front lines. Liquid, they're not looking too healthy here, but it's healthy. Oh, wait, well, Barber? I assume misclick.
Yeah, I don't know, but he should be fine. Maybe he thought Sigma was going to turn for some reason or something like that. Invis Rune is a nice rune to pick up on a Slark this early. Allows his rotations to be that much faster. He's actually going to run into CM here, and if he gets the leap, CM's dead.
Pass trying to juke him around the corner. Nova, and that's it. Koiva will continue to steal his essence as well as his life.
Looks like he's going to pick up an early drums. This isn't necessarily the typical pickup by Slark, but it is still a strong item on him. It gives him a lot more survivability, which is the most key thing on Slark. Making sure that he just doesn't get bursted down rather quickly. And then also a little bit more movement speed never hurts.
Oh, look at Fader. He's getting ready for this fight. That invis rune from Slark is letting him know what the hell's going on. They know there's a Nether Warp in the tree line. Slark watched Fader plant it down again. I do want to give props to Fader for his positioning on that ward. Like, even on the bottom fight, it was in a position where Liquid would never really go. They have to send the familiars every time to get rid of it.
Yeah, that is something that Way 2 is going to have to be on top of every single time. He needs to be searching for that. Kill the ward with the bird damage that he has left, and then immediately go ahead and drop it in the team fight. He can't really use the birds to be picking off enemy heroes, especially as this game goes later, and we see more of those big spells go out, taking a lot more damage every time.
Yeah. I like Bulba's build too. Looks like we're going to be seeing, I assume it's not going to be an SMY, because up against this lineup, like I'm wondering, actually, would you even want to go into a Halbert? Because you're not, like, Juggernaut's not really going to care about disarm when he's got spin. And really, well, is evasion going to help you out that much against this lineup?
Evasion will be alright versus eventually Juggernaut will start getting into the point where he's doing attacks in between Omni Slashes, but you're right, there is minimal point to get at a Halberd just because it's really not that effective. We don't have any real big auto-attacking carries up on Sigma. But this is a decent item in general, just because a little extra slow is good if you can actually get a Sage proc out of it. But any extra survivability on Alchemist is really key right now.
Yep.
And he has to make, there's a lot of burst damage between Sigma. Like, even your carry on Sigma is focused on burst damage. That Omni Slash is, if they clear through Alchemist's health before that regen gets into place, they're going to lose a very key hero on Liquid, so they want to make sure that he just survives through most of this burst and the regen starts kicking into play.
Yep. And Sigma's clock is now ticking out. Like, they have not pushed it enough to make this strat work. They need to breach this base, and soon. They're 7,500 experience behind. That in itself just tells more than any other story. And the gold advantage, the fact that Liquid have the gold advantage when they are down by 2 towers, another huge problem right now. Koiva's forced off that top lane. That drain from Fader is really freaking good. Having that Aghanim's no cooldown ultimate. This is up to Sigma now to go all 5-man push bottom lane. They have no other choice right now in my mind. If they do not take tier 2 and possibly tier 3 tower and the team fight up against Team Liquid, it's almost worth calling GG by the time they're 25 minutes into this game. Because they need to have more. They must be able to force out Liquid.
Yeah, I mean, every single one of their heroes, even their carry, starts dropping off in the late game. Juggernaut is not a strong hard carry.
Yep.
He's very much more mid-game oriented. So, Liquid, as long as they survive through these next couple of team fights, they're going to be looking pretty good.
Koifa, I think he was considering jumping.
They know where the ward is. Birds are going to go spy it out, and he doesn't have a Decrepify to save it.
Fair to use it instead to try and be a little bit more aggressive, but he couldn't find the combination with it. So Bulba now starting up with the concoction. He's going to get a double man stun. Both Soshka as well as Bucky Mad. Mad's already also wasted that Centaur Stomp, hitting on nothing but air. Neck to go first. Koifa in the middle of this fight. The Ravage will go, but as you said, TC able to get himself away with a nice leap, which means they just try and turn and fight this one. But then you got the Nova, the Life Drain, Fluff and stuff being Chen nuked down. Bulba looking for another stun. It's just keeping Bucky Man out of this fight, but he already wants to stay back far enough as it is. And Koifa in very, very close. That Nether was up the entire time this fight's been going on, and no one's dead yet. Miguel finally will be the first casualty of war. More Pugna Blasts going, but Liquid, they're shouldering the burden, and they're losing too many heroes here, Sigma. So they had to take a fight, but they just gave a double kill over towards an Alchemist who's searching for the rest of them. Chen will TP himself back out to safety. Soshka has to sit back. He's got nothing in the tank anymore.
Yeah, and you saw the danger of that lineup, how Liquid kept going in waves, right? They would throw the Alchemist stun, and then you would see TC position himself for an arrow and hit the nuke as well, and then leap out. And then it would be Koitfa's turn to go in. Like, they just keep going. That's that long probing damage that I'm talking about, where they're looking for those nice early kills with very, very long range. The only thing that has really saved Sigma so far from that kind of damage, just getting like a hero wiped out with Liquid not committing anything, has been that healing ward. It's the only thing that's really keeping them alive. I see you messing around with Showcase.
It's working! Dude. It's working for me again!
It's not working for me.
It's not working for me. So I don't know what's going on with Valve with that kind of thing, but sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
But going on to that, the only thing that has saved them has been healing ward, and the big thing that saved Liquid, it's the reason they dominated that fight so heavily, is Fluff and Stuff stole healing ward. That was such a huge part of that team fight because it was up almost the whole entire time.
Oh, sentries are going down, but the Aegis Immortals with Bulba, they're coming out to fight. The Concoction Sun will fly towards pass. Nice to Decrepify, but there'll be a follower jump in, and the Starfall from TC just destroys the Crystal Maiden. While the Familiars have already taken down the Nether Ward, Koifa running back out again. He's still got this Aegis Immortal. Now they're going to use the Mirana to also try and hide from the vision, but it's a massive cloak. It's a huge choke point. Finally, that Nether Ward, that healing ward of Juggernaut has been killed off. And the Concoction Sun again is holding Fader, it's holding Miguel there. They are just completely choke pointed up. This is just a complete slaughter fest. The TPs are going out again, but Sigma just lost their second team fight in a row. They just lost Roshan. They didn't take the Aegis Immortal Slark down either. And Liquid are just going to move in towards the mid lane and try and bring that down as well. But this advantage is stretching beyond anything that Sigma really has the potential to fight up against anymore. Even just going to backdoor the tier 1 tower. There's no regeneration on it, so go to town, boys.
Yeah, and why not? I mean, Slark, as long as he doesn't get picked off by like some support coming forward, he's just going to walk away from the tower and regen in just, 10 seconds time. He'll be back to full health. So why not be able to take that early tower? Is now, like, the biggest thing was BKBs for Liquid. Once they had their BKBs, like, sure, they had good team fight, but the BKBs would ensure that they lived through a lot of this burst damage coming out from Sigma, and we see the first of them. Rana has now picked up an early BKB. We see a lot of stats up. You look at the items. Take a look at the items on Mirana, right? We see an early drums, Ring of Aquila, like that's kind of standard, but then straight into BKB, no damage item whatsoever. Slark, same thing. Goes treads and then goes for drums, which is not your typical Slark item, but it's still pretty good. So early stats, and then Alchemist build just pure survivability. Early Vit Booster into an Halberd. Like they knew all they needed to do was be able to survive the burst and combat push with team fight, and they would be able to come out on top.
Yep. And they have. Bottom lane, Soshka's about to find himself in a lot of trouble. They go through the concoction, he can't. Has to set himself up. There was a good spin TP out by Soshka. We've got another 5-man group up. Everyone from Liquid's going to come back towards the tier 2 tower in the mid now. The next fight the place has been set. Miguel this time will have Ravage. Again, the Nether Ward TC. Decrepify is going to be used on him as well as the Blast, but the Familiars, they know exactly where they're going to attack. And they won't lose these Familiars. The Ward is down, so they've already lost a huge advantage here, Sigma. They got the tower down to half-life. That's one big upside, but Mirana ulti now going to be used. Familiar stops. Actually got perfectly there onto Soshka as well as Mad Bulba. Looking for another stun. Going to throw it over and just keep Chen out of the fight for now. There goes your Ravage finally up and running, but Tidehunter dies almost instantly after. The mech will go off right now for Liquid, and they're back up to almost full life points. The only one's low is Slark, but then again, they just keep moving through. 1, 2, 3. Let's make it 4, and let's make it a Starfall and GG. They realize it. They lose their entire team 3 times over. Agency Mortal never even got triggered again. You knew it was coming, man, and my predictions remain true. You know when this game is over when you go for a push strat like this one, and Sigma call it at the correct time. GG, game number 1 goes the way of Liquid.
Yep, really good job by Team Liquid being able to assess the strengths of Sigma, and they knew exactly what kind of draft they were going for. Especially once that Pugnum was hit, they just completely combated Teamfight with, or push with Teamfight. I think the next time Sigma, they try and run this sort of strategy, they're probably going to have to ban out either the Alchemist or the Visage. Both of those are high priority, are picked up very, very early in the pool, so you may even consider banning out 1, 2, or both of those.
Yeah.
In that first banning phase, because both of them are very, very strong. The Visage Verse being able to clear the Nether Ward was an important part in that team fight, and then on top of that, it's just so hard to push into an Alchemist. That kind of, again, that long burst damage coming out from the concoction, and also the acid spray is just too deadly to deal with. It's so hard to push into that.
Yeah, I agree with you, man, completely. And, well, Sigma back to the drawing board as far as their draft goes, but knowing these guys, they always have something else under their sleeve. So let's see what we have in game number 2 coming up in just a couple of moments' time.